Hello, hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I don't even think anybody's on yet. Hello, hello. I am so happy to be here today. We're going to talk about ancestry, y'all. One of my favorite topics. A lot of people want to. I had someone email me and said, I thought we talked about your ancestry. No, it doesn't stop. Every time there's an update, I'm going to be on here sharing it with you guys. And I have to be honest with you. And I thought I mentioned this on prior conversations or discussions on this channel. And let me, before I go on, because you know I could go on, I want to say hi to everybody that's coming in. While you're coming in, show me some love, hit the like button, share the video on your social medias. Let's get some people up in here. I haven't seen you guys in a minute. Hey, Miriam, James, I saw you. I see you left a message for me. What was this? Bijoux, how are you? I'm good. How are you, sir? I haven't heard from you here in a long time. Yes, it's been a minute. I've been missing y'all too. Been dealing with some personal stuff. Still paying attention to a lot of the stuff that's going on. Man, it's shaking, ain't it? It's good things, bad things, crazy things going on in the world right now. But it's important that we keep up on all of it. And so, how's your ancestry DNA matches going with you? Man, I don't know if you did your DNA, James, but with ancestry, but ancestry's showing out right now. I can't wait to share what I found out. And I know that some of you have ancestry. Hey, Miriam Jones. Hey, sis, glad I called you from the beginning. I'm happy. I'm happy you caught me too, sis. And Coco Clive, hey, mine was updated in August. Really? Now I'm jealous. No, but did you see the update about the matches? Pay attention, Coco, because I don't know. I don't know. You may not have caught this. This is brand new this week. Hopefully, I don't know. I know I had an update on in August, but they did some stuff on my account this week that had me going, damn. Okay, so so what we're gonna talk about today is this matches update. So I woke up this week and I got an email and it was like, hey, did you check out the new matches update? This is what I saw. New feature. Matches by parents. Okay, so what this means is that now your friend, the people that are coming up as cousins, first cousins, second cousins, brothers, sisters, whatever, the matches that you're getting, Ancestry has now started matching up, well, identifying these people to let you know what side did they come from. Did they come from your father's side? Did they come from your mother's side? And for me, this is some dopeness. This is everything, because a lot of you know my story. I didn't really, well, I grew up with this woman, and then come to find out she wasn't my mom. So for a minute, for a very long minute. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago I saw the photo of my dad, and I don't really know my mom like that. So there's a lot, for me in tracing my identity, in connecting with my tree and trying to figure out who I am. So, people like me tend to be, always, trying to connect the lines as far as ancestry is concerned. And not to mention, I like to learn. This is like, to me, this is especially for those of us that are melanated. And I say that because, our unmelanated brothers and sisters, they can go into loads of places and find a lot of history about themselves. But because of that trip, because of those boat trips, the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of us were disconnected from Africa, but not just from Africa. Disconnected when we got to the Americas, in the different spaces that they took us. They moved us around a lot. And guess what? Ancestry is now making it possible to really put a finger on how they moved us around. There's the inter-America slave trade that happened. There was a transition of what they did when they took us from Africa. But then when they brought us here to the Americas, when they could no longer go to Africa to get slaves, guess what they were doing? Big time. They were moving us between all in between islands, states. We were just being discombobulated all over the place throughout the Americas. And guess what? DNA can now prove it. So I'm excited about that. I really wanted to come on here and really have, a moment with you guys on this, because this is something that, from its infancy, I've been sharing with you guys. So, and I know there's a lot of people that are interested in this. Well, before we get into that, I did bring in a clip. I'm a clip master. We're going to watch a clip and give you guys some insight on what DNA is.
In the past decade, companies such as 23andMe, Ancestry.com, which provide genetic testing to help people learn more about their DNA, have boomed. These tests offer insights about diseases, diet, and inherited health-related traits. Alondra Nelson has followed how African Americans are using these tests to help answer questions about their identities that were lost centuries ago during the transatlantic slave trade. Her book, The Social Life of DNA: Race, Reparations, and Reconciliation After the Genome, chronicles their experiences. She joins me now in the studio. First of all, why are people doing it? Is it for the identity, as I mentioned? Is it for a story about themselves?
Those things are related, identities and stories, and I think that people want identities that they can use to tell a richer story about their lives. And in the case of African Americans, part of that story's been lost. And so what the attempt to use genetic ancestry testing to do, to find a nation state, an ethnic group, information that you didn't have access to before we had new technologies that helped us to make some best guesses about where people who are of African descent in the US might be from, then allow you to complete a story. So the identity piece and the story piece are actually very much connected.
There's also a notion of ownership.
Yes.
Because for a second, this is that I am opting into it,
yes,
and I own this,
yes,
and I will take this piece of information, yes, that I know, and I have this to myself.
That's the critical piece, because we know for communities of color that genetics has not always been a rosy space of research, and that there have been historical tragedies in the past that would lead particularly African Americans to be suspicious of genetic testing. And so the ability to opt in, the ability to now in the 21st century use genetics to do something powerful, to tell a powerful story about your identity and your life, and to choose how you want to take that story up. So sometimes people get information that they find useful or interesting, and sometimes they don't. But because you have opted in as a consumer, you get to choose, you get to adjudicate whether or not you think that information is useful for your story.
And I think that's the important part, y'all. The fact that you get to choose, you get to adjudicate, and you get to, make the big decision on what's important. And you get to sift through. You're not just being told, this is it. Because you see, that's all we've had is the verbal. Now you can go deep and actually see certain things and put them all together. And I'm going to show you guys some of the findings that I have. I mean, I can now recognize, on my father's side at least, his father's slave owner. I now can identify when my people became free. It's important. And those documents, they are there. I have them now attached to my family tree. This is history. This is something that I'm going to pass on to my children and hopefully their children and so on. This is something that I did not have, or shoot, I didn't even know who my mom and dad were. So, yeah.
How does this change our sense of community on who I identify with? Because this moment I might be African American or Indian American, but if I really go back through my genetic roots, wait a minute, I'm from this country also?
Yes. So at the very base of genetic ancestry testing for African Americans, it's providing the ability to move from a racial identity, African American, to an ethnic identity. So we use African American synonymously with things like Irish American or Scottish American, but those are countries. And Africa's a continent, and there's 54 countries on the continent of Africa. And so to be able to say I'm Ghanaian American, I'm Nigerian American, is actually a significant difference. And that ethnic story, being a hyphenated American, is really part of the American story. It's how politics happen. It's how we do forms of social and community organizing. So there adds a level of specificity to for African Americans that might not have been there before.
There are a couple of political dimensions to this too. I mean, one of your chapters is about reparations, or a couple of your chapters are.
This is the part that's important. And I think this is when people start talking about reparations, and a lot of our people everywhere are starting to talk about reparation. Hell, the conversation has been going on for a very long time. But if we are smart, we should start doing our homework. Where do the reparations that belong to us should come from? Where, I mean, what are the family names? Who are the families? How are they identifiable now? And I could tell you something. This helps. I mean, it's really funny because you see the thing about it is that they embedded themselves within our DNA, and for me, I don't know if you guys are paying attention. There are laws put in place now that allow people to be taken out of prison because of DNA testing. There are laws put in place for people to go to jail after 30 years of getting away with certain crimes because of DNA testing. Do not, do not think that DNA testing cannot be a factor in reparations. Mm.
Well, how does this advance that conversation when really America has had a pretty difficult time even just coming to terms with what's happened through the Middle Passage?
Yes. So one of the things I found, I thought that genetic ancestry testing and its use by African Americans was only about the identity piece, but I found that it was also about bigger politics. So it was about the sort of a bigger reckoning with American history and what genetic testing and genealogy more generally, whether or not it's the traditional form or the genetic form, allows is a telescoping back in history and a way to get around kind of historical amnesia. So because it becomes very personal. So you're not just saying, oh, your ancestors might have been enslaved and they might have been owned by my ancestors. You're actually saying my great-great-grandmother, whose name was this, lived in this place and she was a former enslaved person. And so it really telescopes to the past and brings history to the present in a very personal way. So the history of slavery in the United States becomes not abstract, but about your neighbor, your classmate, and their family members in very material ways. And so in the reparations case, part of the question, and the question that remains, is that, who are the people to whom reparations might be owed if such a case could be tried. So I follow in the book a 2002 class action suit for slavery reparations that winds in and out of the courts and is currently stalled. And in this case, an early dismissal, a 2004 dismissal of the case, the court says, you're merely alleging that you have a genealogical relationship to formerly enslaved people. And so the very smart plaintiffs in that case go to a company called African Ancestry, which had just started a year before. So we're now very used to genetic ancestry testing. There's lots of television shows. It's in the press and the media a lot. But at this time, the industry had only been a part of, in the United States for less than 2 years. And so part of what these reparations activists are doing, we're using a very cutting edge technology in a new way, and we're early adopters of it. So they go and
I missed this part when I was reviewing this video. This is dope.
Get mitochondrial and patrilineal genetic ancestry testing, so the Y chromosome, patrilineage, Y chromosome, matrilineage testing, and they submit that as evidence in the civil court case.
What happens?
What happened? So I haven't gotten a check. Have you? I haven't received my check yet, Hari. So it's they're not successful, but it's very interesting because the court has to consider, in some cases, I think some could argue for the very first time what genetic ancestry testing means, what it can tell us, what it can't tell us. So in the end, it wasn't specific enough. The court really wanted to be able to say, not just you have genetic inheritance that is shared with people in contemporary Nigeria, but be able to trace to your great-great-great-grandfather and say that this great-great-great-grandfather was transported on.
Hey, I think I'm almost there, y'all. I promise you the answer is there. She said they didn't get there yet. I think I got there, at least on my father's side.
Train that was owned by CSX or that was insured by Aetna and the like. So there was a level of specificity that these tests couldn't offer, but genetic testing is getting more specific, particularly when you can layer it with all the big data revolution in contemporary genealogy.
Speaking of data, I mean, I don't know if we've moved closer to an evidence-based society yet, at least not in the campaign cycle. It doesn't sometimes seem to be the case, but there does seem to be an increased impact of evidence. On a micro level, you look at the police videos that we're seeing, and people when they're watching say, okay, well, you know what, I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and this is my evidence. Or when you say big data, when you look at big data and its ability to highlight criminal injustice, social inequality across large swaths of the population, what does this incredibly powerful piece of personal evidence do?
I think it makes, as I said, historical, abstract things more personal. I think it allows people to at least be able to begin to open a conversation about this history and say, I have these data points that suggest that this is true and that this was important and true in American history because it was important and true for my family. But I think that, we often put too much faith in science and technology to have outcomes for social justice. So one of the things with the iPhone cameras, with these extrajudicial police killings, is you often have evidence that would suggest that something untoward happened or that there should be some additional scrutiny, but there's no guarantee that having a videotape will provide a just outcome or a will to justice. And so I think similarly with the uses of genetic ancestry testing that have, and the way it's been employed in sort of political culture and political uses, including reparations politics, you need, I think, the evidence, and in this case of the reparations, more specific evidence, but you also need a nation that has a will to have a conversation about very difficult historical issues.
Regardless of which community is deciding to do this for themselves, one of the things that always concerns me is where does that information reside? After they do the test, after they get my genetic cheek swab, and after that lab figures out what it is about my story to tell me, they still have a copy of my DNA sitting in a lab somewhere. And
y'all always had a copy of our DNA sitting in a lab somewhere. And I know that y'all have always been using it. I mean, that's funny because it's something that comes up a lot, and a lot of our people say that. But the moment that you're born, the moment that you are born, that baby is swabbed, blood is taken, tissue is taken. Sometimes they don't even want to give you the afterbirth. Oh, trust me, they've got your genetics, bruh.
probably pressed I agree without reading the fine print.
Yes, I think because these are e-commerce sites, I think our reflex is to do as we do when we're accepting a new operating system, OS 10. You sort of scroll through all of the informed consent stuff and we press I agree as you suggest. Different companies do different things. So we now know that 23andMe has, committed to doing pharmaceutical research and aggregating their data for, potentially drug patents and these sorts of things. So, and their fine print, it tells you that. Companies like African Ancestry, which is the one I spent a lot of time writing about, says that they throw out the sample, but there's a way in which data lives forever. So even if you throw out the actual tissue.
I don't know if I believe that African Ancestry throws out the samples, even though it's nice to think that they would. But to be honest with you, our people are so corrupt. Shout out to African Ancestry. I'm not judging you. I just know that, when it comes to profit, we're not always the ones to be trusted.
The saliva, the data can still inform, and all of the companies, I think, if they're smart, are using the data that comes in from customers to make their databases more robust. So you can get more robust findings if you have more expansive databases. So it's a sort of company to company. It's on a company-to-company basis that we know what happens to the DNA, but one can suspect that it's being kept around, similar to when one goes to the hospital and has to give, it's having an operation or has to give a tissue sample, it's around.
All right. The book is called The Social Life of DNA.
I believe it, yo. Oh, let me let you hear what the book is called.
Race, Reparations, and Reconciliation After the Genome. Alondra Nelson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So this is exciting. When I saw this, I was really excited because in my mind, in my heart, I've been thinking this for a very long time. There's no reason. There is nothing without reason, y'all. The reality is this: DNA is not just the way it is because, hey, it's just a way for us to figure out. I think that the creator, the source, the reason that we're here, the reason that we are able to be here, made this a possibility so we can retrace our steps, find ourselves, because a lot of us are lost and in so many ways. And DNA, I'm telling you something, a lot of our people, especially the melanated families on this earth, pay very little attention to genetics. A lot of us don't pay attention to, and we don't think it really matters. We're really open to loving everyone, and that's great. We should, and it's a good thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. But it's funny because I spent some time this week going through my family tree, and I saw how many of other people, the people that I was connected to that may have been of European or Spanish or whatever race that they were, my small 17%, maybe a little higher, I don't know. They have trees that go back as far as to the 1400. They know it. They understand it. They have the logistics, the names, they have backup. And yes, we have a lot of reasons why we were disconnected from our genealogy and understanding of who we are. But when you even go into Africa, I mean, some folks may know their great grandparent, and that's it. And I'm not trying to be smart. I just know that I've been to place, I've spoken to people in depth, and they may know 3 or 4 generations, and they might have a nickname for them, but to know in depth and to have documentation and to really be able to build history that they can leave for their children. And that history is rich because with that comes the rights for certain things in this earth, on this earth. Okay, so let's do this. Let me share what I saw this week. I'm going to share my screen, y'all. I hope I remember how to do this. Okay, let's see. And I just want to say shout out to everybody that's coming through. Share the screen, share the page on your social media. Let's get some folks up in here. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. This is really, I love this stuff. This is good stuff because it's bringing us together, and that's the most important. Let me know if you could see the screen. So this is my beautiful family. This is my page, as you can see. And when I got up, I saw this new feature, matches by parent. And I thought that was like, what is that? Like, I saw the email, but I thought it was just the same update that we had that basically let you know who your parent, what DNA your parent had, like what countries they were associated with, male and, your father or your mother. And that was dope of itself. But it's on a new level, y'all. It's on a new level, and I might have to share another screen to show you guys this. So where you see it says new features, this is where you're going to click. If you have Ancestry, those of you that have Ancestry, this is where you go. And you're going to see it says new feature, matches by parents. So basically, it's matching you up to your matches, but by parent. So that's the dopeness. Let me get off. I'm going to stop sharing this so I can share the next screen, which is the screen. You click on that, and I don't know if it's going to work for me if I do it that way. So I'm getting off completely. And we're going to go back and go to that screen that I just opened, where it's going to show you another set of pages. Do you see that? Okay, so first set of first thing you're going to see is you're going to see by paternal. So right here, it's showing me that I have 1,418 matches that are on my father's side. And then it says I have 2,656 near my mother's side. Pay attention, y'all. Now, communities, right? Well, I'm going to deal with the communities later. Let's go down a little bit. And then it goes both sides. These are my children. So both sides would be both maternal and paternal because they're my children. So they would have the same paternal and maternal grandparents. That is something. Now, these unassigned, I didn't understand that at first, but it said pending update. And they said, why are some matches unassigned? If the match appears in this category, it could be because their test was processed after our last update. So some of you, if you have new tests and have not been here for a while, this right here, you're probably going to end up on the unassigned for everybody, for a lot of folks, or you won't see, you'll have some folks that are in the unassigned category if their updates didn't go, their test was new, processed after the last update. So they're going to be updating those, they said, in the future. So that's cool. So most of these people that are on the 885 right now are going to end up either on the maternal or paternal. And I know this is true because guess what? first thing I did was I went into the paternal to see if I could recognize some of the people that I already know, and it was on point, yo. It was on point. So that being said, let's take a look at the communities, because this is something else that they kind of put in there, but they didn't even mention it. Not only that, they give you a list of all the names that are affiliated with your paternal side, the names that these other matches may carry. So if you are like me, let's say that, and you don't have a clue of who your father was or your mother was, because that's how I started out. It's a long story. I'll talk to you guys about that again one day. Trust me, it's gonna be interesting. But if you are like me, then this is like gold, because you could go down the list and really do some research on some of these names. Now, pay attention. The communities aspect of it really shook me. As you can see, it says my paternal side is Afro-Haitians. You can view more, but it's really thorough, because I need you to understand something. I did some history on my father's side. And on my father's side, it seemed like in the early or late 1700s, his people were actually enslaved in St. Croix. It wasn't until the late 1700s that they were actually taken to Haiti. That I was able to find out with some of the research that I have on my father's side. These uncles and aunts that I have now met through Ancestry have already done their trees and their family research. They knew a lot about their history, and they shared a lot of it with me. So, and I have some of that connected to my tree, and I'll share that with you guys in a few. So you see this right here, the Lesser Antille African Caribbeans. That would explain the St. Croix, the Haitians. We have some of my people in Jamaica, so what this is telling me is this. So out of my father's, the matches that I am connected through my father, which is 1,418, I have family in the Caribbeans, as far as in the Lesser Caribbeans, which is really basically all around the Americas, all those little islands. And in Jamaica, I have quite a few. And in America, you could find my people on my dad's side, or the slaves that were taken to America, what we call America now. It used to all be called America, and it still is in a sense. But right now, when we talk about America, we're talking about the United States. So in the United States, you could find my people, or people with my father's genetics, or that shared DNA, that would be like cousins, fourth cousins, third cousins, fifth cousins, East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, African Americans. So I thought that was awesome, because a lot of us, we tend to get on here, well, when we're looking for relatives, and we see that we're connected to African Americans, we see we're connected to Jamaicans, we see that we're connected to let's say people from different places, but we're not sure how. Well, God damn it, I know now. Like, if I find somebody on my DNA here, well, let's do it. Let's find somebody. Let's go into my matches, which is dope. If I click on one of these people, let's click on Tammy. She's a young girl, very nice, sixth cousin. So I know this goes back to like 1700s. If I click on her, I could see that we share some genetics, and how we share some genetics. But what you need to keep in mind is that what this tells me is that her people came from the same place my people came from, and at one point we had the same grandparent, or great 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 grandparent. Well, 6 time removed great grandparent. And if you click on it, you could even see people that you share matches with her, people that actually had the same grandparent, and how they were split up. And I'm telling you, this really tells a big story. This tells a big story. And everybody knows the story of that. This is my sister. I didn't know her. We took a DNA test, and it proved that we were sisters. It came up half sisters, parental side. That is dope. She's an amazing person. So that being said, so on here, I know now that on my father's side, I have some relatives in Jamaica. I have some relatives in the Lesser Antilles, which is throughout the Caribbean. They're scattered. And keep in mind, this is something that we need to understand as well. I learned that the Lesser Antilles were owned by the Danish. So they would have had their slaves being traded throughout all those little islands, such as St. Thomas, St. Croix, that's why there's such an interbreeding there, because they were moving those slaves all through those islands, wherever they needed them to work. So that's why they're not as isolated as, let's say, the Haitians or the Jamaican or the African Americans at times. But right here, this could tell a story too. The East Texas, Arkansas. Am I saying that right? Probably not. Louisiana, African Americans, they might have been moving them around a lot too. Because you see, this is all connected to one person going back. This is my paternal side, meaning that this goes back to my father's 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 father, some father in the past. We're connected through that one father. That right there is really deep for me. And it even speaks louder for the mother side. Let's click on that. When I saw this, I was a little weird. I was like, whoa, I thought my mother's side would have been straight African, but it says Canadian Maritime Acadians, which makes a lot of sense because my mom looks like an Indian. And I think that's why I have the type of hair and always had the type of bone structure that I have. They were in that space originally. Now, also have the Dominican Republic, which I know is to be true because where we were positioned in Haiti is right at the border of the Dominican Republic. So you see, a lot of the dark-skinned Dominican Republics you see would probably be interbreeded or had come from that area. We come from a place called Inch in Haiti. And in Inch, there's a lot of mixture with the Dominican Republic. Now, Southern Quebec, New York, and Vermont French settlers. So I could look for some family members in New York, Vermont. These people are all interconnected. Southern Quebec French settlers, and we all know that after after the Haitian Revolution, a lot of these slave owners and some free Africans ran into these places. They tried to get out of Haiti as fast as they can, and these are some of the places that they went to, which would explain why I have so many relatives in those areas. And again, I did explain to you that both sides represents my children, and they do have they would be covered by both my father's people and my mother's people because they're my children. So for me, this was amazing, and I don't know how many of you actually have done your DNA tests. I know a lot of people don't care for it. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for the super chat, Israel. What is that? Ulufamami. I'm not going to try to say this whole thing, but is the full name of the Nigerian UFC fighter Israel Asanya. All of those middle names are the first names of all of his fathers passed down in order 6 generations. Wow. Okay. I want to share. I'm happy you brought that up. I want to share something with you. I sent a message to one of my people. They haven't gotten back to me yet, but when you see this name, and shout out to you, Ugo Madorme. What people are these people? That's her name, and she's 90% African. It looks like we are cousins. And this is another aspect of it that is really dope, y'all. The fact that you can actually find people that you are related to. She is now living in California, but based on the ancestry, she is 99.9% from Africa. And her name is Ogu Madorme. She's supposed to be a cousin going back at least 8 or 7 generations which I'm really excited about. Again, I keep telling y'all that this is definitely the best way to connect with your ancestors and with your current relatives. I'm just really thanking the creator, the source, everything, the everything that's bringing this all together right now and giving us the opportunity to link up with ourselves. And really, this is really what it is. We're linking up with ourselves and figuring out some things about ourselves that we would have never figured out, if we were if yeah if we were not to have done the footwork, or make some sacrifices. For some folks, they seem to think that taking the DNA test is a sacrifice. I don't know. I've connected with so many, like this brother right here. He's African, and he lives in Britain. And he basically, we've been talking. I've asked him to come to the show. To the discussion. He said he will. I just have to set it up. But this is my cousin as well, from Ghana. I believe. I believe he's from Ghana. Is he from Ghana? Yeah, I believe he is Kumasi. Yeah, so this brother is from Kumasi, or his people, he believe, are from Kumasi. I'm not sure where this sister comes from, but based on the name, I'm sure I'm gonna find out. Maybe what did you say? I think somebody put it in the comment section. Somebody said something about the Yoruba, maybe I don't know. This name right here is something that I'm gonna go research, and she's got a couple of people in her family tree, which is cool. It don't go back as far as I would like it to. That's why I said earlier that it's kind of hard for our brothers and sisters on the continent as well to really go back 8 generations. And that's what we would need to be able to really see, other than the DNA, which is stronger than any paperwork that they could have, because the DNA can't be lost. It can't be taken from you. It can't be, it can't be watered down, even though a lot of it seems to have been, diluted. The strength of it is still there. I mean, even if it comes back as 1%, we know that that 1% means that that would be one of your oldest traces, which makes it even more, legible. This right here is starting to make me realize that there's no mistakes in anything that happens in this universe or in this world for us as a people. There are so many things, magical things, that are happening. And even though, in the midst of all the confusion that we see happening in this world right now, we have to take this into consideration. The fact that we were blessed to be able to gather these things that were lost from us. I wanted to share something else with you guys, and I will. Let me take my time to get back over here, because this is the part that, when I spoke to you guys earlier about being able to find and being able to face it, I'm gonna tell you something. There's something that is really difficult. The other day I sat in here, and while I was doing my family tree, I realized that I was I I was looking at the name of a 12-year-old that was have giving birth to children of her slave master. And well, you know what? Let me not say as much as I'm about to show you. I'm going to go into my family tree, which is also um yeah, it's kind of dope that we have that option to do so. So let's do that. I'm gonna have to make this a little bigger for you guys. Okay. I don't want to show you too much too fast, but let's see if I can start from. Sorry, guys, this is not supposed to be. All right, so there's so much that I have found out, and I thought it was so interesting. And I'm just kind of sad because I'm able to find out a lot on my father's side, because he had um, circumstances which made it, you know, the circumstances behind it was that, you know, his forefathers were slave traders. So it was easy to trace him. But I want to go. I'm going up here. This would have been my father's father, and I'm not showing something, and I'm kind of upset. I hope I didn't delete my all of my tree. Okay, so okay, so let's go to Gina. There it is. Yay! So this is me. And you see, I'm still living, which is a good thing. These are my blessings on this earth. And it's my father. And I remember telling you guys that my mom looked like an Indian. I don't really know her, have never met him. I found this photo. I was connected with this photo only 2 years ago. I don't know my mother, but I see that I look a lot like her. She has that white hair. They say that her people were um, for the most part, very much Taino ancestry. And I could see that in her bone structure. Let me go back to it. Okay, so on my father's side, I've made a lot of strides. This is my grandfather, my grandmother on my father's side. Haven't met her, she's still alive. He passed away. So this was his father, Joseph, as you can see. And all of this I was able to find between the history that they have in Haiti and the history that they have in St. Croix. And the reason I was able to do that was because I have to be honest with you, there's on my father's side, those people, they had already started the tree and had most of this history. I just went and did more research and found out dates of the birth, death. It's all there because in Danish St. Croix, because I want to show you guys. This is the guy that actually, this is George. He was born in Haiti, Joseph. George is his father. He was also born in Haiti. But Waldemar was not born in Haiti. He was born in St. Croix. Well, no, he was born in Haiti. This guy, Frederick, was not born in Haiti, and he was born in St. Croix. Now I want to keep going up because I want to tell you that Frederick was he was a what you call a mulatto, meaning that he had both black and white ancestry. I want to see if I can open it so I could show you an image of some of the stuff that I found, pictures in a gallery, just the history of it, and which I thought was really thorough, because you could find all of this if you're lucky enough to find do the research. Let me see if I can so this was him. And it says Frederick Carl Wilhelm Sabatker, my people's name is Sabatker, granted his freedom. Can you see that? Granted his freedom on the 9th February 1807. So he was granted his freedom in 1807. My mother's people were in Haiti. My father's people were not. They were in St. Croix. Carl was still in. He was granted his freedom in 1807. He was born in 1806, but he was granted his freedom in 1807. This is information that I'm just coming across, y'all. It's amazing, and was recorded by Frederiksted City Court in February 1807, and the freedom certificate was issued on August 4th, 1813. So even though he was granted his freedom in 1807, he was not given his certificate of freedom, which you probably needed to travel, until 1813. There may have been a relationship between him and Catherine Auguste. So basically they're talking about relationships. But I want you to pay attention to something, because I'm about to show you his father. So back to the tree, I think. So this is Frederick. He would have been the one, and I hear that there's also documentation, I believe, to show that he was actually this guy, Adam Levine. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, so So Adam Levine, right? Adam Levine was, I'm going back to the screen. Adam Levine was a slave owner and well, his father was a slave owner too. It started with his dad. So Adam Levine gave birth to Frederick with Anne Marie Philberg. She was a slave. She was a slave. Let me go into that. So, not that one. She wasn't the slave. She was a slave. So Adam, which was the slaveholder, let's open him up. I don't like opening him up, but we're gonna do it. I think I can do it. I think it will allow me to do it. One moment. Something's going on. All right, so there it is. So he was actually born August 3rd, 1753. Let's get a close up on this guy. This is he was born into slave trading. His father was a slave trader. And he decided to have children with Black women. He didn't just have children with my great grandmother on my father's side. He had children with many. So Adam Levine Sabatker and I want to make this small. And I'm going to show you guys some documentation. I guess I could show you off of his page too. It's all relevant. Let's read. Let's see if we can make it bigger for you guys. So, his immediate family. And you see, he had a partner, he had a wife, his sons, immediate family, and he had a wife, but then he, he had a partner, Marianne Patus. He had another partner, Dorothea. She don't even have, I don't even think they have last names. His father's name. I know he had a wife. She was living in Denmark while he was, and I have the full story. I just didn't put that there. It's funny because as I say this, it takes my breath away. It just takes my breath away because I can only imagine. So right here, it's recorded that he had a daughter, and then his first son was Frederick Carl Wilhelm Sabatker, which would have been my grandfather. He had that with his slave, Marianne Platfus. Let's go into her file. And I'm telling you guys, while I'm saying this, I'm breathing hard. I can't really tell you what I went through putting this together. And realizing that it was all true. But of course, we see it in our DNA. We see that. So I could not find, of course, any photos of Mary Ann Platfus. She was a slave. She was a slave. So there are no images. And trust me, I looked. I said, well, maybe he might have taken a picture of the slave girl that he had these children with. But I couldn't find anything. Let's go back to the screen. And yes, you guys, I did not have my there's an issue with that. Somebody said something about, was I adopted? Yeah, I was, in a sense. But I'll talk to you guys about that later. Like I said, I didn't know my real father or my real mother. So Marianne Platfus, let's talk about her life story. She was born in 1787. She had one son with Adam Levine. She died in 1850 at the age of 60. But we have more information. So let's look at the facts and see if I can get more from the photo gallery, because I didn't feel like typing all of this stuff. I just clipped it instead. She was actually born in St. Croix, From what I think she was born in St. Croix. So her parents were probably bought over prior to 1787. She was born on the island, and it is recorded. The one thing about St. Croix, the Danish, they were OCD with their record keeping. They recorded everything. I mean, and till this day, you can go on websites and just pull up, just like I pulled up all this information. Um, Birth of Frederick Carl Wilhelm Sabbatker, 1806. Birth of Hans. Now, bear in mind, all of these children of hers, except for, I think she had one with somebody else when he died. But as you can see, all the ones with Sabbatker she had with this same slave master. And how do you know she was a slave? Let's keep reading. Okay, so during the period of circa, I don't ever know what that means. Okay, I know what that means. 1805 to 1819, he had a relationship with Mary Ann, and that would be Adam Levine. That's his partner. Her partner, as you can see at the bottom, she had two partners in her lifetime. So Adam had a relationship with Mary Ann, or Mariana, or Mary, or Marie. Marianne, those are the names that they have on file for her. Platfos or Platfus or Platford, different pronunciations, I guess, who was born in St. Croix at 1787. When was he born again? Yeah, she was definitely like almost a child to him. And Storm, okay, was baptized in 1787 in Lutheran Church. On 11 July 1813, Mary Platos was freed. So she was born and was freed in 1813, around the same time that her son was freed. And Marion Platos was freed by A.C. Storm. I went to look up what this A.C. Storm was. It was just a magistrate in the courts in Denmark, and at that time, and it was recorded in the Frederiksted City Courts on July 15, 1813. So, looking at this, I now know when she had her freedom. In 1818, Marina was listed as a free and living at an estate in Hagenborg, West End. I'm going to tell you guys what I did. I went and researched where this place was, and the building still stands. It's now, somebody have restored it, and it's one of those places that you can go to and stay. And I've thought about going there. Imagine being able to go into the same building that this woman that is an ancestor. She's first generation born in the Americas. Her parents were slaves from Africa. By November 23, the ownership of Company 25 Street. So you guys, you can go type this. This is the building that was given to her in 1823. So when he passed, he left her something. This Adam Levine Sabbatker, the slave trader, that she had, I believe, 5 children with, or more. Christian was transferred from General War Commissioner Adam Sabbatker. So he transferred the building at 25 Company Street. And those of you that have the option, 25 Company Street. As a matter of fact, let me let you see what that looks like. 25 Company Street, St. Croix. 25 Company Street, St. And I'm telling you, this is why I do it, because it's amazing to me that we could actually do this. So 25 Company Street, St. Croix. If you type it in, that place is still there, y'all. Let me show you what it looked like. So at his passing, he left her this. He transferred the ownership to her and her children. Let me pull it up because I can't, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to actually go in and try to, and I have to tell y'all that this is going to be one of the first places that I go to because, and I have to wait before I could go anywhere, y'all. It's complicated. I'll talk to y'all about it. I promise. Once it's all settled. But, let me do this. I'm going to share that because it's important. This is a part of understanding how it all unraveled. And I promise you. I gotta delete one of these files. Okay, let me delete this one and I'll upload that. Thank you for your patience, guys. Those of you that are still here. I know this is like really not interesting to a lot of folks, but to me it is because I want everybody to see how easy it is, how simple it is to really stay on the trail and really get the facts, because guess what? It's important. So this is the building that was, this is 25, and I just want to remove this because I think this is it. 25 Company Street. Oh, I have the wrong one. I apologize. I want St. Croix. Did I get that one? It's a pink. It's supposed to be pink. It's supposed to be. They all look alike to me. Yeah, 25 Company Street. I'm going to let you know if I find it right now. I think this is it. My husband found it for me last time and he was like, that's it. 25 Company Street. They've redone it. There it is. This is 25 Company Street, but a different one. There's so much. I'm just finding all of this, so please bear with me. I'm trying to. And let me put Sabatkar. Make sure, because they all look alike to me. What? 25 Company Street. Christianen. Okay, so that is the same building. Well, it just looks different. Government house stock. Government house stock. Okay, so it's painted. Okay, so that's just a side view. Same building, y'all, just a side view. Just a side view. Okay, so that would have been it before it was renovated, and the side view looks pink, and it's the front, it looks different, but that would have been the same building. So let's go back to her story. That's Australia. That's not the same building. I'm looking at the building here, and it's like 25 Company Street. Where is it? St. Croix. Well, let me put this in here. Let me put the word. Okay, Government House. St. Croix. Okay, there she is. I don't know. I can't see this full picture, but hey, if that's what they're saying it is. I saw a white and black picture, a black and white picture of this. My husband was showing it to me, but I was so caught up in her story that I couldn't even pay attention. So this is it. Christianen. All right, so I think I got it, y'all. And I'm gonna keep this because I didn't put that on there yet because I was trying to. I hope I could get the one he sent because I can't find a good photo like he did. I mean, they all look alike to me. All right, so that being said, when he passed away, I think this is it. I think. Anyway, you guys could type it in yourself. St. Croix, 25. What is it? 25 Company Street, Christensen. From General War Commissioner. And it says old government, St. Croix. So I think this is it. I think. Anyway, put in that address and see if you could do a better search because I'm trying to rush and I don't think I'm doing a good job of it. But it looks just like that. That's how those buildings look. And I was touched by that, but at the same time, I was like, she was his property. Or did she love him? She was so young. And so when he died, he made sure before he died, long before he died, he made sure that they all got their freedom. And that something was left for her and the children. And around 1826 and 1827, she had a relationship with Bijoux, which I found out was a mulatto. And she died and was buried on April 1850 in Christiansted graveyard. I would have never thought, and it's funny because I tried so hard to find the records on what happened to her parents. And I couldn't. But I'm still searching. You never know. Hopefully, I'm thinking that when I get to St. Croix that I'll be able to get more information on her. But her parents were not recorded. So this woman, Marianne Plattfuss, I don't know what the reasons were why she I know that as soon as he passed and she was free and she went and married this mulatto guy, and she basically was able to live a free life. Now 3 of her children moved to Haiti, which was my great, the child that she had with him. The first one was Frederick Carl Wilhelm. He was the one that went to Haiti and never went back to St. Croix. So I was able to find that out, and I thought that was amazing. And I'm still trying to get more information. Now, one thing I did find out about Adam Levine. Now his father. Let's get this out the way. Slave trade started with his father. Let's go back to the tree. And this tree is getting more interesting every day because I'm starting to find more stuff. His father was this guy. So with him, he married so Adam married a white woman, but he had 2 black women that he had children with. In all, he had 1 child, I think, with his white wife, but he had many children with these. And his white wife was in Denmark. He kept his black wives or women on the islands, and that's where he spent basically most of his life. Now, Johannes Sabatker was his father. This is where he got his, and his great grandfather was Adam Sabatker. If you look at, I think it started with him, or maybe it was his father. I think that it began with him. The company. It's funny because I saw the name of the company that they had a slave company. And I'm going to do some more research about that. But he is the father of I think it's his father that actually started the slave trade, and they have the name of the company of the company, something company. And I know that is the name of the actual company that they were using. And I think it's right here. I think this Adam, which is the great grandfather of the Adam that had the children with the enslaved relative of mine. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't put any facts on yet about him, but this was the one that in 1691 he was definitely the one that, and I think if I go back to his story, I didn't finish putting in all his story. Yeah. But I remember, I think it was him or his son that started that had ships. And let's think about these names. Adam Levine, Sabatkar. That sounds a little Jewish, don't it? Um, Danish, Jewish, I don't know. They were from Denmark, but the name Levine speaks for itself. See if we have any facts on him yet. Nope. But I know I saw the facts, and I'll be adding those soon too. I wanted to get some more detail, however, on I wanted to get some more detail on the name of the company that they had. They had a company. They were one of the biggest slave traders in the West. I mean, with Denmark, in the St. Croix. If you look up Adam Levine Sabatkar, yeah, he would have been one of the biggest slave traders in the islands of St. Thomas, St. Croix. All of those little islands, cluster islands, belong to them. A lot of the territory that now belongs to the United States was purchased from the Danish, and that was a part of it. So that being said, that's why I think for a while, and I have to be honest with you guys, I've been very quiet on here because I've been wounded. I promise you, this right here have taken me through, and I'm now over it because I'm now realizing that this is some of the truth that needs to be faced. These are some of the dirty or ugly realities that come with being who I am, and that's a part of our history. When you do your DNA and you see 17% or 12% or 20% European, usually that's the history. Now, some of it comes with love. I don't know if there was love between those folks. I don't know. All I know is that enslaved people are not in a position to love or not love. They do whatever they need to do to survive, especially enslaved women. This was an amazing couple of weeks just digging into all of that. And I promise you, there's so much more information that I have not yet attached to the tree. I'm doing this as an example to my children, because you see, like I said to you guys before, someone that did not know her mother or father and still don't really, it's important for me to give my children or leave behind more as much information as I can. And I mean, not trying to see it from one perspective. Like, it's easy for me to just hang on to the African side of my DNA and don't even pay attention to what happened. But what I have found out, what I just found out, what I have found out, what I have known Marianne's story, what I have understood, what she had to endure and how long she had to endure and how she finally got freedom, not just for herself, but for all of her children. If I didn't share that with you guys today, I may share that later. I have documentation. Um, I have actual documentation that shows the freedom, the papers. As a matter of fact, I will show to you because I think that's like the most important thing. I was able to get on the proof that they were actually freed, and this was the paper that was given to them to indicate their freedom. And I thought that was amazing. I mean, and then I was thinking, dang, they had to carry that around with them. I was even able to find a signature of my great great the one that came from St. Croix and moved to Haiti and never went back. Um, and that was found in Haiti because he had to sign something and they had the records there. So between St. Croix and Haiti, and I was able to find out so much, and I'm very grateful for that. There's a lot that we should be grateful for because um they had to go through so many things to get us this far. And sometimes when we're going through what we're going through on a daily basis, we don't realize on whose shoulders that we actually sit on, how far they had to go just to get us this far. So just to go back to this again, and then I'm not gonna be I'm gonna put the link out. Anybody that wants to come up here and say anything on what I just showed, any thoughts, any opinions, real quickly, you can do so. If not, then that's fine as well. But I want you to, if you haven't taken the opportunity to start your family tree and to really try to build something for your children. And I'm telling you, it's not easy because I had to go through a lot. There was a lot of crying looking at this stuff. It's not my family's name in Haiti now is Sabatker. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this the Sabatker name is the true family of the true name of my family. And I I'm not claiming that. Can't claim really, you can't really claim anything, but I know that now where that name comes from. I understand why. It's funny because we all have this idea that we are walking around with names of our slave owners. And for me that came full term, full circle, if I could say so. This I know now what what he looked like. I know what he did. I know how this his first son with his slave with this woman Marianne Platos, which was a slave, which was born a slave, how the he was born in 1806, and by 1807 he was given his freedom, and his mom and all her other children that she had were given freedom as soon as they were born. Privileges, I guess, that comes with being. And it's funny because you're both proud of her and ashamed at the same time, but then what rights did she have at that time? Does a slave have a right to not be? I mean, I guess you can kill yourself, but if she had done that, where would I be? There were so many thoughts I had. So I'm resolved to now. I really want to go deep dive and figure out what was his position. He was the governor in St. Croix at one point. His father's people were big time slave traders. They had plantation, one of the biggest plantations in St. Croix. Adam Levine Sabatker. Why did he choose to have children with slave women? And why did he leave them rights to anything that he owned? And why did he do a lot of the things that he did? And it's just so many questions I have. And I'm very blessed to say that because the Danish kept the kind of records that they did, I may not get to the core of it. I may not know feelings or understand. There were no letters. He left lots of letters, like he wrote letters to the king, and that's interesting too. You know, just an account of what the slaves were doing, and that one was hard to read. I'm gonna share that with you guys. I have to translate it from Danish to English, but if you type in Adam Levine Sabatkar, you type in letters to the king, you'll probably find some of the letters that he was writing from St. Croix to the king, wherever that king was in Denmark, about the business. And the business was my melanin. The business was was us. So I hope I didn't bore you guys tonight. I really wanted to share this with you because I know I haven't been on here and I don't plan to not be on here too much longer, but I am dealing with something very personal. Um, keep me in your prayers alongside of everything that's going down in Haiti. Identity is a big factor for me right now, but I'm dealing with it, and I'm embracing all of the nuances that come with it. And I'm also here to express to you all that identity is important. No, it shouldn't separate us as people, but it should definitely be something that we resonate to our children, our family members, our ciphers, our bigger ciphers. We should be very much interested in who we are on a spiritual level first, on a mental level second, and on a physical level. We should be interested. We should teach our children to be interested, because maybe if we really become interested, I mean, not the tribal type, but the type that you want to understand your history, you want to hold on, you want to take ownership of what is yours, be it the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. Maybe there will be some self-respect in our community, some appreciation, and some understanding that we do not stand. We did not just come on this earth. Um, we had to, there were a lot of people that had to make a lot of sacrifices, some of which we will never understand or even appreciate, some of which we will judge them over. But when you think about it, where would we be if they did not do or make the type of decisions that they made? I find myself getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing research, trying to figure out um, a lot of things about Marianne and about those children. It's funny because she had a few children that, if you trace their DNA, they went back, like those relatives went, they whitened themselves and just became white people again. All but then the three that went into Haiti, it's funny because it's like they were all mulattoes, but they, some of them chose to just go the other direction and some of them did not. And I have all of that. And it's interesting. My grandfather, my great, maybe I think he was what, the seventh, eighth generation, maybe, no, seventh generation. He chose to go live in Haiti and never went back. He wanted to be in that space where Black men were free to be Black men. I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that. So it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to appreciate. And then it's funny because when I think about Adam Levine, I'm not I'm not sure how to feel. I feel like he was born into this situation where his great grandfather was great grandfather was a slave trader. His father was a slave trader. He was born on the island. He was born in St. Croix. This man, his forefathers from Denmark, he had homes in Denmark, but he was actually born in St. Croix. So this tells me that this man, he started, he did not just see this woman as he actually, he saw her humanness. And for me, and I don't know if I'm just lying to myself, y'all. I would like to believe that he saw her humanness, and that's why he had more, I think, 7 children with her. Well, 5 children. She had some with her. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 children with her, and then when he passed, he made sure that he left her property, so she would to be able to take care of herself. So I'm hoping, it's funny because when we think about slave traders and we think about colonizers, we don't think as them, we don't see them or think of them as humans. We think of them as the cruelest beings. We think of them as the actions behind. We don't think of them, the humans. We don't even fathom that some of these people might have been born into a situation and they themselves just lived the part that was given to them. I'm doing more research because I would like to know more about him. I know that his father's father was a slave, didn't see Black people as humans. And I know that his father probably didn't, but Adam Levine Sabatker, I'm interested in because his politics changed along the time. So we're gonna do more research on that. And I hope you guys are paying attention and are seeing that there is, and I guess my dogs are cueing me that I need to get off now, that I hope that it's a clue, at least, that there's so much we need to know. Let's not leave anything to opinions or emotions. Let's if we can, let's try to do the dirty work so our children will not have to. You see, there's something that happened to me while I was learning all of this. I let go of anger and I was able to pull in the reality of the situation, and it is what it is. I want to know more. So this was me, guys. I love you guys. There's a place in my heart for you guys, and you know that. Please share the video. I promise I'm coming back. I'm just so busy learning, and there's so much that I'm dealing with personally, and I can't wait to share that with you too once it's conquered. Once I conquer this beast, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Again, there's so much love here for you. The Blackness.